Welcome to Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. I'm your host, Lisa Huff. Over the last 5 years, I've coached hundreds of hairstylists and beauty industry professionals, helping them work their dream schedules exclusively with their dream clientele and earn their dream income, all while fostering genuine connections and lifelong friendships inside the beauty industry. In this podcast, we dive deep into abundance, manifestation, business building strategies, and creating a life that you are truly proud of, both behind the chair and at home. Are you ready to embark on a journey of personal growth, success, and sisterhood? Then hit that subscribe button now and get ready to experience the pure magic of Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. Hi friends, welcome back to Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. I am here with a longtime SST member, Courtney Brown. According to Court's bio, she was born with the sense of humor of a 14-year-old boy. She's a career hairstylist and salon owner whose love language includes French fries and sarcasm, has led her to an arsenal of very specialized skills that have been combined and optimized for the greater good. Now the face of Good Richard Media, a company capitalizing on our common and shared weaknesses in social media and business to hand feed you monthly content and solutions in a fun, cheeky way so you can focus on what's important to you. You are a good copywriter, Miss Courtney Brown. I hope you know that.
I really am. Like, as you're reading it,
You're like, Lisa, did you come up with that? Oh, no, wait, I came up with that. How are you doing today, friend? Yeah, we were chatting a little bit before we got on here, and Courtney was feeling a little bit nervous. So we're getting into it. How does it feel? How are you doing?
Well, I'm still having like a personal summer, but I think it's mildly, maybe moderately unrelated. So I don't know.
Okay, but all in all,
it'll be fun.
All in all, we're doing good. Okay, amazing. So I've known you for how many years now? You've been in Soul Tribe for a long time. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's at least maybe end of 2018, 2019 or something, because it was definitely pre-COVID. And I was in there for a while.
And I know I launched Soul Tribe end of 2018, and you weren't one of the OG original members, but you were very shortly after. So Courtney and I have known each other for a long time. So I obviously know a lot of your story, and I may interrupt and chime in when I think it's appropriate, but I would love for you to just kind of tell your story of like who you are, talk about, the salon, how everything has been created into obviously your big magic idea and all of those things. Just start telling the story. I'd love for you to share that with people.
Okay. So I don't even really know where to start. Once upon a time. No, so I was not one of those girls that was like, I'm going to do hair and this is going to be amazing.
Okay.
I think I have always dabbled and enjoyed like beauty and makeup and hair, but I had been in a super abusive relationship where I was, family members didn't have any trust for me. I didn't have any friends because that's like abuser 101 is like alienate and all of that. So I had finally broken up with that guy and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, well, I didn't exactly have the grades to go to college or anything like that. So I enrolled in
What age were you and what year was this?
So I don't know what year it was because math is not my thing.
That's fine.
I think I was 20 when I went to beauty school.
Young adult.
Not far off.
Yeah.
Okay. So I enrolled in beauty school, and it was like the scariest thing that I had done just because, just not knowing what to expect and not knowing anyone there. It's like so abstract that you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I had a really cool beauty school career. I set a record at my school that was previously held by a couple.
What was the record?
Raised the most money for a charity.
Oh.
It was they called it Marathon Day, and it was held by a husband and wife previously.
Okay.
And I crushed it. And I told the director of the school that
she's not competitive at all. That's not the highlight of her beauty school at all.
No. But I told the director of the school that I wanted a big Charlotte's Web Wilbur pig ribbon when I crushed that goal.
Oh, yeah.
My mom has it in a big shadow box. It's this long and huge.
Amazing.
So I did that, and I had a job before, several months before I graduated and stuff. And it was I guess it was really just where I kind of got my feet back under me. I was making conscious decisions
Mm.
of like who I wanted to be. I
Yeah.
still didn't necessarily know where I wanted to go because also too, like leading to salon ownership, that had also not been on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
But the opportunity presented itself. And
How far into your career did that present itself?
8 years. So the
Okay.
first year and a half, I worked for like Regis and J.C. Penney salons.
Feel
And
that?
then I went independent.
Okay.
And then I worked at the salon that I now own. I worked there for, I don't know, 4-ish years before she wanted to sell.
Okay.
And then she said that she wanted to sell and she was asking internally first, and
Mm.
no one else was um like grabbing it or anything.
Yeah.
And so like I put together a business plan and I went to my dad because my dad
Mm.
was working in Iraq at that point.
Wow.
Um, and I went to my dad and I was like, I've never done this before. And, like I don't know if I necessarily want to do it now. But to that point too, I had been married for a while. I had just had my second baby. I think Cambria was a year old at that
Wow.
point. And so like taking on a salon as an owner was probably the last thing that I needed to do.
Yeah.
But he gave me the down payment for like
Amazing.
the earnest money on the down payment.
Amazing.
Yeah. And that was in retro, well, it took 4 minutes of looking back after I had
Mm-hmm.
done that. That was like one of the darkest periods of my life
Okay. Tell me more. Why?
because I was their peer for a long time. And
Mm. So this
you
is the
offer,
transition of going from coworker to I'm the owner, and everything else has stayed the same, but now I'm in this position.
yeah. And some people like, everyone has opinions, right? They're like assholes.
For sure.
So I got along with everyone. Like I wouldn't say that we like hung out outside of
Yeah,
work or whatever, but we had very warm relationships.
totally.
Um, but it is like this weird shift where you get into this position and there's this fear too that you're going to just completely gut the place or
Mm.
restructure the business or something. And I was really intentional when I took it over that any changes that I did make, I was going to bide my time to do it just because
Mm-hmm.
I I didn't want I didn't want to one, I needed all the renters. So I
You
didn't
don't
need
want
to
to
rock
lose
the
the
boat like
team.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But also too, like I just didn't want to be gross like that. Like I
Yeah.
had been in positions before where like ownership or management had changed and they
Mm.
just come in with like guns blazing and
Mm-hmm.
it just gets gross real fast. But like there's not really anyone just with the culture of salon ownership, there's not really anyone that you can confide in on that
Mm-hmm.
level
Yeah.
either. So you're just like at the end of the day after working behind the chair and this laundry list of stuff because as much as they didn't want change to affect them, they
Mm-hmm.
had all these requests
Of
that,
course.
and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, I want
If
to
it's
make
there, and this isn't speaking to your people in case I ever listen to this, this is just you hear the owner's struggle as a whole. If it's their idea, then change everything you want. If it's not their idea, don't do anything because
right.
you're the owner, right?
Yeah. And some of the stuff was for years we all had just accepted whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
salon ownership is hard. We've never done it, but like, we were respectful and appreciative of the previous owner and stuff. So
Yeah.
then to have like this huge list of stuff come through, I was like, I don't know if you guys know, but I just put a big fat down payment on this and now
Yeah.
I have
Like
like all
this
expenses.
just fell
Like,
into my lap. This isn't, I wasn't some crazy investor seeking this out or anything. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So it was it was a rocky, like, I mean, I kept the majority of the people. There was
Yep.
one person that left right away, but I kept the majority of the people for years, but then including the old owner, which
Okay.
maybe we could touch on in the future, but
Okay.
that's like its own separate thing
Okay.
to unpack.
Okay.
But then eventually that owner took over or the previous owner of the salon took over my building. And
Okay.
that is when um they that's when they like doubled the rent and made
Mm.
some like really big
Things
decisions.
got scary. Yeah.
yeah. And so then I had to like really sit and think about that of like, okay, I could stay here
Mm.
and potentially they could raise the rent however much more, how often they'd like, which is
Mhm.
completely their choice as
Totally.
that business. But I was already just barely scraping things
Yeah.
by, and I had all these visions and the stuff for the future because I had finally paid off everything. And so it was
Yeah.
like, yay, like I can finally put some things into action.
Mhm.
And so it was either stay there and they could raise all the rent and do whatever they want. And
Mhm.
then eventually I'd have to like piecemeal this business that I had invested my whole life into by
Yeah.
that and hope for the best. Or I could risk a big move
Mm.
and try to like upgrade the salon space and the team, add more people, all of that stuff, and
Yeah.
just see how it was gonna play out.
Yeah.
And so I went to my parents because I'm an only child. So like
Mhm.
my parents are who I got.
Mhm.
I went to them and I like basically said just that.
Yeah.
And then I reached out to a realtor and started seeing properties. And then I found this property and it hadn't even been listed. And he didn't have a key to show me inside, but I was
Wow.
like looking through the window and my whole body vibrated from top to bottom because I could see everything. Like
What year
where
was this?
this was 2017.
Okay, so right before we connected. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Wow.
and so I could just picture everything and like not necessarily like a color scheme or anything, but you because you know I'm not like the blush pink, I'm more like
Mhm. Mhm.
dark. And like the cliff notes of that is that eventually he got the key. I negotiated the terms of my lease. Like I presented them like a mini business plan because a business like mine had never been in a space like that
Okay.
before. And I got my accountants involved and they helped me find like angel investors.
Okay.
And like I remember my my accountants were a husband-wife team and the husband was like, so you're saying that if you build it, they will come because I
Mhm.
was going from like 5, 6 station salon to like 10 stations plus 2 or 3 nail stations plus 3 treatment
Wow.
rooms. It was massive.
Wow.
And I was like, yes, question mark, because like what
Mhm.
else could I do? Like
Yeah.
so he ended up finding me investors and
Wow.
I ended up before I even opened had 5 people approach me about wanting to leave their salon, uh,
Wow.
which feels kind of it feels amazing that like word had gotten out and that people knew that I was building this space that and these 5 women wanted to leave together and I was bringing
Mhm.
the rest of my team over. But it also feels gross from a salon owner standpoint that
A
it's a walkout
walkout is
the other side.
painful and traumatic. You know what's on the other side of that for someone. You have empathy for that. Yeah. And that's telling of who you are. But are those people still that's still the team currently that you have, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of turnover, and the people who have left have either left because they had a baby or they moved towns,
Hmm.
or have one gal that she was our waxer,
Hmm.
and I helped her open up her own studio just because like she was at that level in her business.
Yeah.
And the girls still tease me at the salon and say that like they've never encountered a salon owner who like embraces people moving on like I do. Like
Yeah.
where I mean, like not to like sock people into something, but like if a stylist says they want to leave, then all of a sudden it feels like a switch is flicked in the salon owner and
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
get
Yeah. In
icky.
other places. Yep.
Yeah. And like it's important to me to be able to sleep at night. And I'm a stepping stone in a lot of people's
Totally.
like careers and
Yeah.
lives and stuff. And like I just always want to keep that door open, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So all of that to say, that is
Hmm.
how I ended up as a salon owner
Hmm.
with an 18-month-old and a 4.5-year-old. And
How many square feet is your space?
I think I don't remember, like 3,000
Yeah, it
maybe.
sounds big.
It is real big.
Wow. And you've been in there for now how many years?
In April, it will be 6 years.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So when you joined Soul Tribe, you were still very actively behind the chair. That is no longer the case. I guess, do you want to tell the journey of, and I just love, obviously, you've heard my process. I know my process isn't everybody's, but I really do like to catch and find those similarities. I watched you have a big magic idea and I watched you run full speed ahead with that big magic idea. Like I will never forget your, the things on the wall, the things are happening, like it is good Richard time, let's go. So share a little bit about like how you went from being actively working in the salon to how this idea came about, and continue telling that story, please.
Well, as a salon owner, I just was always in a position, not that I like claimed to know all the things, but I was always in a position where the girls would come to me and ask for verbiage, or they would ask for like tax advice, or not that I would like, I mean, I guess it's because they come from a place of not understanding a whole lot about like
Totally.
the numbers and stuff like
Yep.
that. And I know just enough to be dangerous. Like I know the
Mm-hmm.
ones to watch, and I know,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And I would say that I'm fairly conservative when it comes to like filing. Like, anyways, so and then social media and like snapping, and I would always snap pictures like as I'm walking my client to the shampoo room. I'm like snapping pictures of the girls and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And we had like shared Dropbox folders and stuff so that if they ever wanted to use it. And so like I had all these skills and I was like, what can I do with this? Like business
Mm-hmm.
really is like it took a step forward for me. Like I love doing hair, but it was starting to hurt my body and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And I love the business and I love like playing even just the most smallest role in someone else's
Yeah.
success or organization or whatever it is.
Yep.
But then COVID happened. And again, I was still like, cheering people on, and I was like sending links, like apply for
Mm-hmm.
this, and understanding like the loans and the PPP and the EIDLs and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So we had like a group chat, and it was
You
like,
went into like consultant mode during COVID. Yeah.
yeah. And it was just, I know it wasn't my responsibility because my salon is booth rent,
Mm-hmm.
but like we are a team and we
Yeah.
are a tribe, and it was
Mm-hmm.
important to me to make sure they were
Yeah.
okay as they could be. So I still was doing that as my salon owner-ness. We even had, it was so cute. Oh, well, I think it's cute. I drove to every single girl's house with like bingo cards and like
Oh,
pennies, and we had like a virtual bingo night just so
that's
that we
so
could like
fun.
be together, just to keep like morale up because
We did
it's
something
very,
like that in Soul Tribe. Do you remember that? It was maybe somebody's like baby shower. We all got together during COVID times and we did some like bingo or something like that. We were doing wild things during COVID. We were just trying to figure everything out. Yes. Well, and I think there's even something to say, like you saying, obviously you love being a little part in somebody's journey, and obviously they're renters, so you don't have to do that. But it goes to show that like that brought you fulfillment. Where some people, I think the pandemic as a whole was just very telling to a lot of people. How would I like to be spending my time when all of a sudden you can't do your daily things that you were doing every day? You were lit up by consulting people, helping them in every way that you could. So I think that's just very telling too, that that's obviously your natural inkling. You weren't getting compensated for that. There was nothing you could have just been just binge watching Netflix and that's how you could have spent your time, but you wanted to spend your time consulting and helping people. So I think that it just uncovered a lot of hidden desires or interests in a lot of people when they had nothing but time to do whatever they wanted. Because I was the same. I mean, sure, we watched our fair share of Tiger King, but like I tripled, quadrupled down on Soul Tribe during COVID times. That's how I spent my time. It's how I wanted to spend my time. So I think that's
yeah.
very telling as well.
I think too, it's funny that you brought Tiger King up because so many clients and friends and stuff were like, "Oh my gosh, you have to watch Tiger King." To this day, I'm like, first of all, don't tell me what to do, and second of all, like, I just don't do great. Like, it's not my first pick to get like those har like type
Uh-huh.
stuff, and so to this day, I haven't watched Tiger King.
It's really fucking good, Courtney. You should.
I know. I think more recently someone else has brought it up, and then I saw it somewhere, and I was like, oh, and it was like fight the urge, like just
Oh,
because
that's so funny.
it's not a hill I'm willing to die on, but I'm
That's
a fan of
okay.
your monologue.
Okay,
Um,
anyway, so COVID exposed to you that you were really enjoying helping people in all capacities, but you found a lot of social media conversations were happening at that time, right?
Yeah, and I helped a couple of the girls like spruce up or start building their websites and stuff like that. And these girls, we finally had like the time and capacity to work on these things and like
Yeah.
all of that. So that is like a lot of what we did. But and then we got to go back to work and it was kind of like a mama, and I'm a diehard mama bear. Like, do not come
Hmm.
at my people or my kids. I will come for you. But like we finally got back to work and like all my babes were like cruising and they were,
Hmm.
things were right with the
It's
world
go
again.
time. Yep.
Yeah. And like same for me. Like I hit the ground running and then it was like, I don't want to get like to anything, but after a while, the conversation started shifting to like vaccinations and your
Hmm.
responsibility and stuff like that. And I
It was a
seriously,
weird time to just be a human anywhere.
so weird. And so I
Mm.
almost developed like this tick about it. And I had like this letter board in my room and was like, if you talk about this, this, and this, there will be an additional fee of an undisclosed amount. Like, talk at your own risk. But because
Yeah.
I'm like done.
Because it
Um,
was so mentally exhausting. I mean, there was an endless list of things that everyone was divided on, and I think that was a, universal, in our industry. That was a hard time. It's been a long time since I've even thought about that. That was a hard time. There was so many things happening, and yeah, a lot of people left the industry during that time because it got really fucking hard. So you put down some laws, you put down some boundaries, keep
yeah.
going from there.
And then usually if I'm feeling like restless and because that happens a lot for me because I'm basically feral, but I was like, okay, we need a road trip, like fast, driving fast, seeing new things. And usually I can like, that's like grounding to me and I can
Hmm.
like reset and go back into the salon and just, it is what it is. So I took my kids on a big long road trip. We saw like 8 or 9 more states. And then I came
Hmm.
back and it was like instantaneously back in that shithole mentality of just like, ugh. And then and then I decided like that, well, I guess when I was talking to some of the other gals, like it really started to like click for me that I did have this set of skills and like how could I apply this and how could I reach more people because some things just really aren't that complicated
Hmm.
and like how could I do this? And then there was one gal at my salon who like wanted to use all the skills that I had, like whether that's like creating graphics or whether it's like
Hmm.
posting social media or whatever it is. And I was like, shit, I could like really do this.
I could be a
And
virtual assistant. That's like how the idea dropped in as was a virtual
yeah,
assistant. Yep.
yeah. And like, so then I also was like, well, I can't do this on top of behind the chair and stuff. And I was
Mhm.
done with my clients. Like I just, and not even them specifically, I just was done with peopling.
You
Like
just
I,
wanted to be able to just be on your computer and not listen to people and the shit that
yeah,
they have to say. Yeah, it got to
for
that point.
sure. And so I decided that I wasn't going to be behind the chair anymore. I had a nice nest egg in my bank accounts. And like, I was like, I need to take a step away.
Yeah.
Um, and so anyone who knows me knows that I love dick. I love
She
dick.
loves dick. That's what Courtney said. If you can't tell by the crocheted dicks behind her on her desk.
Yeah. And I think like, I mean, I love dick for all the reasons that I love it. But like it's funny, it's like disarming to people. Like it's just you just I mean, how many people have you come across that like openly like talk about their love of dick? Like I don't know. So I decided to
Definitely
because
your shtick.
remember a while ago too, like we when we have talked about social media in our soul tribe calls and stuff, I was like, I really want to have like a little segment that's like Good Morning Richard because like
Mm-hmm.
it's about conscious decision of like having a good day or a bad day,
Yep.
but also I could be like cheeky and inappropriate like
Yep.
I am.
Yep.
And so like that loving Dick and then bringing in that Good Morning Richard thing was like
Energy.
how
Uh-huh.
Good Richard was
Born.
decided upon. And then it's gone through some like identity crises, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, just because I don't know. I mean, like when
Any
you
new
start,
idea being brought to life goes through that. Yeah. I mean, you were birthing the stick. You were bringing this to life. You were creating it, and you didn't know exactly what it looked like. But one thing I will just say from the outside looking in that has rung true and has never changed is, while I know it's your cheekiness, it's your quirk, it's a strong ass brand. You know Richard very well. We don't know who he is yet, exactly what he's doing yet, but like the brand is there, the vision is there, and you have that so well.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing that I have leaned into for this last year and a half-ish is brand recognition, because like I haven't
Mm-hmm.
posted anything on social media being like a social media manager this whole time until like last week. And I had
Yeah.
followers on TikTok and Instagram that were just like, I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna wait and see.
Huh?
And so I don't know. I mean, like I could make Good Richard be anything at this point, and I think
Yeah.
that people would want it just because it's Good Richard.
It's very, the hook is there. It's attention grabbing, absolutely. So Good Richard started as an idea of virtual assistants for hairstylists and other just small business owners. Courtney, as I said, has an incredible knack for copywriting, and not just in her voice, because she does a lot of Soul Tribe members' social media now, and you don't know when it's Courtney and when it's not. So like I want to say, not only are you good at your own copywriting, but like you can turn that voice into different voices. I think you have a very good talent for that. So you've been doing that for a while now. She's been away from behind the chair. She still owns the salon, obviously. She's been working one-on-one with clients, and lately the new vision, the new baby idea is more of a subscription based model. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, so I have loved working like one-on-one with the clients that I do have, and it's been so fun and like challenging to figure out what the specialties are and figure out who their target client is, and like mathing that together basically, and honoring who they are as stylists, and trying to encapsulate their voice. Um, but and then I create like Canva graphics and like email stuff, and I get them set up on automations and sequences and stuff like that. And there is considerable amount of coaching, like for even the most simple things, which I guess like Elizabeth Cox said it once,
Mm-hmm.
like in one of our Soul Tribe meetings, was like, you have to meet people where they are. And I still think about that. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, so it's in the last like 6 months, 9 months or so, I have been like super aware of what people don't
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
and just bad on anybody, but like for just assuming that for
Mm-hmm.
everything that's out there that you know it too, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I have, my hope is that I know that like just like hairstylists, social media managers are like a dime a dozen,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not reinventing any sort of wheel by having a subscription, but I am niching down to just our industry,
Mm-hmm.
specifically hairstylists, but I have massage therapists, waxers, like
Mm-hmm.
um, wedding people, photographers, and I think even like a makeup person.
Yeah.
So like beauty-ish in general.
Beauty industry. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Service
if you,
based beauty industry. Yeah.
yeah. So like if you find any other subscription, it's super great because they're including the hook, they're including the bones of whatever is going to promote or inspire someone to come see you or whatever, and then the call to action and stuff. But when you are getting those captions, they're for coffee shop owners and they're for
Mm-hmm.
photographers, and there's still so much editing and like trying to pull something together to make it
Mm-hmm.
apply to our business that it
Mm-hmm.
is still just overwhelming and
Mm-hmm.
frustrating and all of that.
And
So
also typically very bland and very generic, which is the
yeah,
opposite of everything you embody.
yeah,
So,
that
yes,
is true.
yes.
So my hope is that like, I mean, there aren't that many things you can specialize in as a hairstylist. So I have spent the last year and a half or whatever pretending to be the specialist of all of those
Yeah,
things.
you've learned a lot.
And there is not that huge a range on target client either. And so I guess the subscription basically is your month of content that specifically speaks to your specialty in
Mm-hmm.
hopes of dialing down your target client. And then as you receive that, that you put any personal touches on it that you need to, but those personal touches should take like less than 60
2 seconds.
seconds
Yeah.
to do.
I also
Um,
want to zoom in on this a little bit because I feel like you did kind of just jump over it. You say like there's not that many specialties and there's not that many range of target markets, but like I don't think you're giving yourself credit for that because even okay, so like give me an example of all the specialties that right now you can think of that Good Richard will be offering.
I mean, there's bridal, there's extensions, there's blonding, there's great coverage, there's vivids, there's long hair, slash layers, there's short hair and precision, and then everything else.
Curls.
Oh, curls. Yep,
Mhm.
can't forget about the curls. And then, I mean, like there are other ones. I don't specifically do them if I am not currently offering them. Like Haley is a good example with her
Mm,
gender affirming haircut.
yep.
So if I'm not currently offering it, I would gladly and
Open to
willingly
adding
accept the
categories
challenge.
later. Okay, but I
Yeah.
let me continue there. You said there's not many. That's 8 specialties alone. And I just want to say what Courtney is doing, just because I see it, and I know somebody who has no idea what we're talking about, no idea who you are. Like they'll think, oh, book your extension appointment today. Like, no, Courtney has learned a lot about these specialties. So the people that you are doing work for right now that I'm reading their content, she is genuinely educating, inspiring your clients around that specialty. So it's not just like a very quick, simple blurb. You are doing long, in depth content that is like really educating these stylist followers very much from their tone of voice because you found out a really cool, and it's going to be interesting, obviously, to see how this plays into the subscription. But she's been so one on one with people. You have a really cool way of figuring out somebody's voice. And only because I have been on, one-on-one calls with Courtney and she's shared her screen and showed me the madness that is happening behind the scenes. Like I just wanted to make sure you weren't just like brushing over that of like, oh, I'm going to provide you some social media content. I don't Trello. I don't even know what all softwares you're using, but she was showing me this tab leads to this tab. Like there's so much information in there. So I just really want to like give you credit in that the copywriting that you're doing, the social media planning, everything that you're doing is not just a simple basic caption. Like the people that are working with you right now are getting high quality content. So I just had to say that.
Well, thanks. Because
You're
there
welcome.
still is like, I just felt like I sound like a news anchor. Like, and back to you. I still feel sometimes not, I mean, because I know what I'm doing. Like I feel like rock solid. Like, I mean, like I'm a great writer, but like when you read my bio, I was like, dang, girl.
Yeah, it comes
Um,
out well.
yeah, but like there's still periods of time where I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like you had a successful career behind the
Mm.
chair and you walked. Does that mean you're washed up? Like, I don't know. Like you have
Mm.
a successful salon. Like why don't you stay in your lane and like do the things that you have done well? Like who like and
Thank you
so
for even saying that though, because outside of even like what Good Richard is, let's just talk about anybody experiencing any big magic, any wanting to go another direction, feeling burnt out, bored, unfulfilled, curious, whatever it is that starts to bring them somewhere else. Because I think I attract stylists like that. I was that. I am that. I will always be that. Like I'm always just following one curiosity after another, and I can't stay still for too long. Like even you just saying like, I deal with serious imposter syndrome. I feel really uncomfortable with this too. And it is hard. This is your first podcast you've been on. It is hard to sometimes talk about it, but I see from the outside looking in people that have been working with you for a long time. And I can tell you to rest assured that you are doing exactly what you are called to be doing right now.
that's so exciting.
No doubt in my mind about that.
It's super exciting because I don't know. I mean, like in our Soul Tribe calls, like I get super pumped about it and then I like pull back because like
Mhm.
more than anything, like it was super exciting to show you the behind the scenes stuff because that is what has I feel like has paralyzed me for a long time, just making
Mhm.
sure that it's functional and that it's organized to someone who is not me. And
Mhm.
not that they're gonna be dabbling back there, but like
Totally.
I'm not always present to a glitch or something like that. And so I don't know. I just, we're perfectionists in our own ways for all
This
the
is what
things,
comes
right? And
along with, again, just even the other side of it before launching anything, this wave of like, I must be prepared for anything that could ever go wrong. And there, that you would never hit a point where you feel prepared enough for that and still pushing forward. Like, that's a lesson to be learned for anybody, no matter what it is that they're working on. So I get that. And we do everything we can, but eventually kind of just got to click the button and it's go time, you know? So I've been telling you
totally.
that always, and you definitely take action, and then we all have ebbs and flows of when that happens. So sorry if I'm putting you on the spot, but like, when do you think we can expect this? If a stylist is listening to this and they're like, hell yeah, I could outsource my social media content, what can people expect?
I mean, I, for my most comfortable, I would probably like to launch like the first part of March, like
Okay.
have people, if they could reach out from now until the end of March and just
Mm-hmm.
get like waitlisted or like get more
Yep.
information or whatever that is, because I am set up to do that and I'm
Mm-hmm.
more than willing to like have conversations and stuff. But I would say March 1st at the very latest, just
Yeah.
because I just will feel much better. I feel
Totally fair.
like
Totally
that.
fair. So the lesson in this is, if somebody's listening and they're drawn to this isn't a perfected system yet. And I know that there's something really valuable in finding somebody in the early stages and being one of their founding members. You get the best experience. I mean, you're nearly a founding member of Stylist Soul Tribe. You've been in since it was nothing like it is today. So if anybody's listening to this, a simple conversation with Courtney would be good. And maybe we could put together a little waitlist form that can go in the show notes of this. How about that?
Yeah. If I could add anything to the Good Richard like experience
Mm-hmm.
too, I guess, because I think I had like touched on it before, but like social media managers are just like hair stylists in the sense that ultimately we're a dime a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
And I happen to have the experience, like 20 years experience as a salon owner and a hairstylist and stuff like that. But my whole, like me as Courtney slash Richard, and then as Good Richard, like I don't know how to show up as anything other than one of those. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and that is a mark that I feel like for all the education and all the Instagram people that we follow and all the courses that we take and all the things that we see about social media and how to manage yours and plan your content and your strategy and all of that. And you could write 30 captions in 2 hours and all that's all good and well. I don't believe that you can do that. I mean, some people can. I can't
Mm-hmm.
even do that.
Mm-hmm.
But the part that people are missing constantly is the vulnerability and the authenticity. Because even when you're trying to show up like that, it still is sounding very, I don't want to say, for lack of a better word, like robotic and just like
Mm-hmm.
checking boxes. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, hairstylists are great usually about taking 1,000 pictures of hair, but they're missing the shampoo experience. They're missing the waiting room experience. They're missing them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is huge. Like, because we're a dime a dozen, like, why would somebody come see you for hair extensions and blonding
Mm-hmm.
when they don't know anything about you? Like, and I guess too, like hooks are great because people read. The body of the stuff is great because that's how you educate. But the calls to action don't have to be like double tap, you know, or heart this if you agree,
Yeah.
or something. It can be like, are you a reality TV junkie too? Like just
Mm-hmm.
like having both.
Conversational. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
like
know
both
Courtney
of
was
them.
nervous to record this podcast episode, so she hasn't listened to a whole bunch. So I know you haven't heard a ton of the previous episodes, but it's come up so many times in conversation that we're all feeling like every time we get on Instagram right now, it is a regurgitated version again and again and again. And like, I could literally click Instagram right now, open up and read the first caption. I've kind of curated my algorithm a little bit, but like, almost guaranteed whatever the first thing that pops up is going to feel like a regurgitated version 10 times passed down from the same basic ass class that everyone took at the same time that started doing the exact same thing. And it's just so, no wonder everyone's engagement is low. We're all so bored being on there. And you
Yeah,
do add that spice, you do add that flair. It doesn't have to just be the same boring thing we've been taught for so long.
yeah. I think that simplifying and I guess just putting yourself in the position of pretending like you're talking to the clients that you're already seeing, like you
Hmm.
can't go wrong with that. Like, and
Hmm.
eventually, like, I mean, you shouldn't be posting for likes and stuff like that anyways. You should, whether people are interacting with your stuff, like there's an awareness that is
Yeah.
happening, whether you're aware of it or not.
Yeah.
Like you will always stand out if you're like, hey, I'm Courtney. I have the sense of humor of a 14-year-old boy. Like that's
Here I
jarring.
am crocheting
Someone,
dicks. Yeah. And that's
yeah,
the thing too, is like that's Courtney's spiel and like her like uniqueness, but we all have that. And I think you're really good at helping people find that too. And it can be
I
authentic. And when you just said that, Courtney, the authenticity versus plus vulnerability, it literally brought me back. I remember the day I was walking up by my kid's school. I was on a walk. You sent me a polo. Like it was like a big time check-in. Like, Lisa, I've been gone for a while. I'm coming back. Like, here's where my brain's been lately. I love when I get those like random finally catch up from you. And I
yeah,
remember you saying that authenticity plus vulnerability. And I remember coming back and being like, that's the secret sauce. Like that stuck with me. And just when you said it right now, like, is that's like one of Good Richard's like core values, it brought me right back to that conversation. I can tell you where I was on that Marco Polo. I don't remember how long ago it was, but yeah, I
I
mean,
love
you've been
being in
sticking with
Blackball.
that. Yeah, you are. You really
Yeah,
are. So I'm glad that you brought that up again because that's real. And that is the words that I think of with what you're doing, with what Good Richard is: authenticity and vulnerability. Absolutely.
yeah. Like, because you don't have to be salesy to be successful and have a gajillion followers. Like, followers don't
Mm-hmm.
matter anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. So I guess like I'm the exact opposite of what traditional social media managers offer and do and preach. And there's still a huge element of education just for my people.
Yeah.
But, like even just as simple as like how stories work or what should go in stories, which is a regurgitation of anything else.
Yeah.
But like if people don't know it, like,
Totally.
and also too, it has to do with like the voice, right? Like something resonates from someone that didn't from
True.
another. Like,
Yep.
so, but always I will like the core of Good Richard is vulnerability and authenticity and keeping it simple, like so
Mm-hmm.
simple. Like, who cares? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
That's my TED Talk. Thanks for
I
coming
love
to.
it. I've loved your TED Talk. I think that's amazing. I'm glad you chimed in with those final things. So I haven't even, I really strayed from the talking points. I guess I knew that. So I had overview of your story, your transition from the salon, bringing back big magic to life, and the solutions that Good Richard provides. So those are the things that I wanted to go over. I feel like we've kind of touched on. Do you have any final thoughts or anything else you'd like to share before we go ahead and wrap up?
I don't think so. I
We did
don't.
it. We did great.
We did great. It's so good.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you, Courtney. This was a joy. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I will talk to you all next week.